using MindTap in the course. So once you register for MindTap, you log in, you'll see a screen that looks something like mine. Now mine is going to look a little different because I'm the instructor, but yours is going to look similar to this. I would suggest that you start going through each one of these. Welcome to the course, getting started with MindTap. You can download your data files, but those will be there for whenever you need them. Take the pre-course assessment quiz. Whenever you see counts towards your grade, that'll be something that you need to take. And then Unit 1, go ahead and start off with this one. It has 15 activities. I'm going to expand this. And Unit 1 has a reading activity. So when this is expanded, you can see what the reading that you need to do. You will find the book over here on the right hand side, and you should see the full book. And by the way, I'm using Firefox. It happens to be a little more compatible with MindTap than the other browsers. And the book here, you can page through. You can have access to the book at any time. Okay, I'm going to close this down. And we have the study unit on Unit 1, the review, reinforcement, practice. Okay, and then the coding. The coding can be a little tricky, so I'm going to show you programming exercise 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Go ahead and start the assignment now. And it loads, takes a bit. And it'll come up with the instructions. Now, for this one, write, compile, and test a program named personal info. They already have the class named for you, so you don't need to do that. And it displays a person's name, birthday, work number, cell phone number on separate lines. Okay, so they've got an example of what it should look like: a name, date, work number, and a cell phone number. So it should look like this. So over here in our little code editor, what we do, write your main code here. Alright, I'm going to replace that. And in here I'm going to put in my first statement. Now, what I could do is that I could type in system dot console dot write line, and then put the parentheses and the double quotes inside, semicolon on the end, and I would think that I would be ready to go. So I'm going to put in here some text. So I can put whatever I want to inside of these double quotes. So as long as I'm inside of these double quotes, I can put whatever I want. So I typed in the text, hello world. So that's good enough for now. I'm going to go ahead and run this. And it takes a bit. And I get an error thrown at me. So I need to go back and check to see what problem I've got in there. And it says on line 6, character number 22, I've got an error. System console did not contain a definition for write line. Okay, so let's see what the problem is. So line 6, and if I go over here, character 22 is probably like somewhere right here. And if I look at this, I see that instead of a lowercase l, I should have had an uppercase L. So now if I run this, let's see if that gets rid of that problem. And it worked okay. So what it did is that it wrote this line, whatever's between these double quotes, to the console window. And this is the little terminal console window. So write this line to the console window and it writes whatever's between these double quotes. Okay. If I want to change that to something else, as long as I've got it between those double quotes, it's going to output whatever I've got there. Now, I put in system console, and I really didn't need to. System, and I'm going to look up here, it says system. System is a namespace, and a namespace is just a way to organize all of that code. When you launch Visual Studio and you create a program, it includes something called the .NET framework, and that is just a whole bunch of code that's already written for you that you don't need. So it says in the .NET framework, let's go ahead and use system. So it has all of that information, all of the code that's written in system available to us. And organized inside of the system namespace is there's a class called console. And what that does is it creates or runs a little console window. Now here we've got our terminal that does this. When you use Visual Studio, you'll see a little window that pops up, and it will look something like this, just a little simple window. So this console window, this using static system.console, when I've got this line in here, I don't need to I don't have to type all of that in. So it's a little shortcut for me. Once I've got that line in there, I don't have to type in that system console every time. We'll just naturally assume that I'm using that. Okay, so now I need to complete this assignment. I've tested it, everything's running okay, so now I need to complete the assignment. So what I can do is type in my write line statements, and take a little shortcut and do it. And inside of these double quotes, and I use the example that I've got here, but I think it'll let you use any name or date that you want to use. So inside my double quotes, I've got the first line, and write line means print this out and go to the next line. And then print this line out and go to the next line. So it should print out these 4 lines, and each time through, after it gets done, it will go to the next line. That pointer will start at the next line. So I'm going to go ahead and run this and see that it works okay. And when I do, it did. It printed out that first line, and then it went to the next line. I'll show you why it's a little different if I just put in write instead of write line. And now I'm going to go ahead and run it. It still works okay, but it puts these on the same line. So the difference between write and write line is that write will just write it out here, and it'll leave this little pointer sitting at the very end. It won't go to a new line. Okay, so let me go back to the way that I had it originally. So once I've got this, now grading. When you've completed your program, click the submit button to record your score. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to tasks. I hope this is in the window that you can see. I'm going to click on that. Oops, I'm going to click on that, and it will let me run checks to make sure everything's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and run a check on this, and it plugs along, takes a little time, and it said that it ran checks. I've got 100% on this, so it looks like everything checked out. And if I'm ready, I can go ahead and click on my submit button, and it will submit this task as completed, and then I can move on to the next task. So once I've got that, I click the close button, and I'm ready for the next programming exercise. Okay, once I've done that, and then I move to the apply, and I can take my quiz. And that will do it. That would be all for, if you only had just this one unit to complete, that's all you need. And you will be done. That will do it.